Hola familia, Carlos Vides con Mentes Innovadoras aquí por Televida y es sinceramente para mí un honor, un orgullo estar con ustedes otra vez en esta nueva temporada 2023. Como siempre traigo recomendaciones, es muy importante que tomemos en cuenta que este fin de semana es un fin de semana de fiesta, donde vamos a salir, vamos a hacer asado de carne, vamos al parque, vamos a los lagos y todas las cosas. Cuando lo hagan, tengan mucho cuidado, no anden borrachos, ni vayan a andar haciendo cosas que no son debidas para no meternos en problemas y disfrutar con nuestras familias y tener paz y lograr este 2023 todo el éxito que andamos buscando. Ya saben, esta temporada la idea es traer invitados, personas donde usted puede aprender mucho de ellos. Va a haber información, va a haber cosas que usted puede aprender de nuestros invitados. Y ahora este día les traigo un invitado que ya es por segunda vez con nosotros y es alguien que yo personalmente estoy muy orgulloso porque es un jovencito que lo conozco desde ya cuando tenía unos 18, 20 años y ahora se ha convertido en todo un abogado y también un representante de la comunidad. Y entonces yo quiero que usted le ponga atención porque ya sea una persona que usted directamente tenga interés en aprender más de él o sea que a lo mejor sus hijos, pero este muchacho es alguien que se merece su tiempo. Así es que pongan atención y tome notas y todo esto, porque vamos ahora a estar hablando con el señor Crispin Rea Jr. Mr. Crispin Rea, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. What an honor it is to have you the second time in our studio.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
And congratulations on your run. You know, you got the primaries all done. And how was that?
It went very well. So it's actually been a pretty busy time. My wife and I just had a baby. He's 9 weeks old, and so
you're running for city council.
two weeks before the primary election, which was on April 4th. But you know, we had a really good result. I was in a race with 5 other people, and I came out on top. And, you know, leading up to the election, I was optimistic that we would finish on top. And I thought a nice 5 to 10 point margin over the next person would be something I'd be comfortable with.
Yes.
But I think we ended up having a 15 or 16 point margin over the next candidate.
That is just amazing. And,
yeah.
And that maybe is to tell you how much our community needs a fresh blood in the system, you know, new ideas.
Yeah. And I think, you know, folks value experience and a track record. And, you know, that's what we worked hard to make sure was communicated on my part to voters. And, you know, it was a lot of hard work, but a very good result.
Yeah. And especially, you know, I was thinking about this morning, gosh, for somebody like you that was born and raised in the community, you absolutely understand what's going on in the community.
Yes, I do. You know, it's a lived experience, and I believe that lived experience is important to have, you know, for folks who are making decisions that impact us all.
And of course, you know, you have your kid. You want to make sure that you set the stones for these kids to grow in an area that it feels good. That is going to be good. It's going to be there for them.
Yeah. I want him to grow up in a safe and clean city. You know, I want him to explore the world, but come back to Kansas City and have all the opportunity he needs to thrive here. You know, so it does give some perspective, you know, to this campaign and what I'm trying to accomplish.
Fantastic. So what do you guys think? You have a brand new baby at home, and now you have this whole campaign going on right now. The general elections coming up, and how's that balancing?
She's been very supportive. You know, we made him part of the team right away. He's been to candidate forums. He's been out with us knocking doors. He's posed for photos. And so, you know, I want to be able to show him when he's old enough to understand, you know, how he was involved in this. You know, when I was a kid, my mom took me to neighborhood association meetings and all kinds of things that she was involved in. And I think that's what put me on this path. And so I want him to see, you know, him being involved at a very young age.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you've been seeing the public service since early age.
Yeah.
And that is pretty amazing that now you pick that up and start working with it. And for us, being a minority community, you know, that's very important to have somebody like you representing the minority, but not only the minority, but you're represent the entire Jackson County, Kansas City area. And there is a lot to say. The part that I'm really liking is that your platform, the issues that you're looking into it are so important to keep our community safe. And you keep saying safe, safe. So what are some of the things you want to make sure that you go into it?
So, we are on track in 2023 to have our deadliest year in Kansas City history by measured by our homicide rate. Last year was our second deadliest, and currently the most deadly year was 2020. But we are, I believe, about 3 homicides ahead of where we were at this point in 2020.
Wow.
And it's not even summertime. In Kansas City, we know the summertime can be deadly. This is violence that impacts all of us.
Yes.
It impacts those who grew up in neighborhoods like where I'm from. It impacts folks of color. It disproportionately impacts, Latinos and people in the Hispanic community. And it impacts our ability to sell Kansas City to businesses and potential residents, that it's a safe place to live and raise a family. And so this is a big, big issue. For those who live in this neighborhood in the Northeast, we all know the violence, that occurs, and the gunshots and the shootings. And, we've had too much of that. And so I'm going to fight for an evidence-based public safety crime prevention strategy. Some of this work we've done before and that I've been a part of. In 2014, we had a 30% reduction in violent homicides because of some of the work that I was involved in. And there are some things there that I think we could apply to today, but we've got a lot of work to do to address this issue.
Fantastic. So you say reversing to 2014. Sometimes, we get so caught up and we get so far ahead, we forget the basics.
Absolutely.
And maybe that is what you want to say, that you want to bring back those basics in 2014, what you guys did to keep things, keep crime lower.
Yeah. There are strategies we know that work.
Mm-hmm.
And, 2014 was almost 10 years ago. And so some things have changed and we'd have to do some things differently. However, we know the core elements of what works and we need to do those things.
And then you also mentioned something that I don't want you to oversee, is the ability to sell Kansas City to potential investors coming to Kansas City to open opportunities, creating jobs and tax revenues for the city and continue the growth that we got going on in Kansas City. So let's talk a little more about that, because I feel that's a huge deal. I don't live in Kansas City, but I feel that will also impact me as well as a businessman, because it will open opportunities to my clients, and my clients will make money and they come back to see me.
Yeah, and your business, in this location will do better if this neighborhood is more safe.
Absolutely.
You bring folks in from
all over.
Yes. If this is a safe neighborhood, that is going to make you more successful.
Correct.
If something awful happens in this neighborhood, that could be a barrier, to what you want to accomplish.
Yes.
So I think that's a very good example.
Yeah, and I like that we are touching this subject, because sometimes people only sees the issue, what's going on today, but they don't have it. They are quick to critique what's going on. They blame everybody, but sometimes it starts right here in our home. We have to maybe have a more conversation with our family. Would there be more education in the school system, or how are you guys planning on going about it?
I think education is a big part of it. So the city does not have authority over the school district or any of the school districts. There are about 14, I believe, in Kansas city limits, so not just the Kansas City Public Schools, but North Kansas City School District, Hickman Mills School District. There are many school districts within boundaries. We don't control any of them, but that does not mean we can't have a good working relationship, especially when it comes to, trying to support those kids who are most at risk and get them the resources they need to make sure those risk factors do not result in them going on and getting involved in gang activity or criminal activity.
And that brings me up to the next question. This homicide that you guys are seeing increase, is this among the younger community or is all over the place?
I do think a disproportionate amount of it occurs with young men. Young men who brain science tells us their frontal lobe is not fully formed and able to help them make good judgment and decisions. Young men who maybe don't have hope. I feel like they have something to prove. Who were raised in situations that didn't really prepare them to be successful. In our community, sometimes our gang violence can be generational, where an older brother or older cousin or family member, maybe even an older parent, passes on that culture. And so, we've got to start with folks when they're very, very young, and making sure there are behavioral health resources available, mental health resources, making sure there are positive role models available for them to see, how to go on and be successful. Businessmen like yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So going to the city council, those are some of the subjects, the areas that you definitely want to make sure you work on.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I want to make sure that you guys are paying very close attention, because Crispin Real, the general election is coming up when?
June 20th, Tuesday, June 20th.
Tuesday, June 20th. And para ustedes, si tienen papeles, si tienen oportunidad de votar, si usted es ciudadano de este país y vive en el área de Jackson County, todo lo que es Kansas City, salga ese día y vote a apoyar a nuestro compatriota Crispin Real, porque él está comprometido con nuestra comunidad de trabajar con ustedes para apoyarlos, más que todo combatiendo el crimen, para que no sigan tantas muertes en nuestras ciudades, que nuestras ciudades sean más, que miren más bonitas, limpias y todo, y que nuestros hijos puedan ir a la escuela, sentirse seguros, no sentirse atacados, y que tengan más respeto a nuestra comunidad. Esos son los temas que Chris Pernello está hablando en este instante, donde él quiere que ustedes lo apoyen para él poder apoyarlos a ustedes en el futuro. Él nació aquí en Kansas City y tiene toda su vida trabajando aquí en Kansas City. Yo lo conocí cuando él tenía tal vez unos 18, 19 años, ya trabajando en el sistema público, trabajando en el área de ayudar a las personas que tenían problemas, muertes en la familia y todo eso. Entonces, se conoce que el muchacho tiene mucha sabiduría en esta área. Por eso mismo tenemos que apoyarlo. Si usted tiene la oportunidad de votar, salga a votar junio 20. Y eso es todo el día. Así es que prepárese. Si vive usted en Kansas City, Jackson County. Crispin, I kind of summarize what you said, what you said in English to our audience, because I want to make sure that they understand that the importance that they come out and support you. Because your platform is to support our communities and also to make Kansas City safe.
Yes.
Did I miss it?
Nope, you got it.
Okay. What is another issue that you see needed to be taken under control?
We have some. Our community is so entrepreneurial.
Yes.
If you look up and down, say Independence Avenue, the businesses that folks in our community have opened have breathed, life into that corridor that otherwise would not be there. We open, bakeries and restaurants and many, types of businesses. However, we need to make sure we have a city government that helps those folks, that is not a barrier to getting the licenses and permits and what is required to open a business, and that is going to support, our business community in maximizing the opportunities that are coming up. The World Cup, for instance, is a good example. Yeah. That's our sport.
Yes.
That is our sport. And so we need to be included in the showcasing nationally and internationally. You're going to have folks, thousands coming from Europe, maybe coming from somewhere in, Central South America. Yeah.
Definitely.
You have 50,000. Let's say we get the Brazil national team, and we have 50,000, 60,000 folks coming. We have a thriving community here to showcase, and we need to have a seat at the table so that our businesses are included in that. Otherwise, I think we've had far too many examples of where we are not included, and I do think part of the reason for that is because we don't have a voice at City Hall.
Yes. And also, the voice is, of course, one that voice goes and speaks and look for the opportunity and bring it out to the community. And, as a business person, I definitely see that need because every day I'm dealing with business owners in all different levels. These are people that maybe are construction workers, they have construction companies anywhere from roofing, concrete, painting, drywall, sheetrock. I mean, they have everything, okay?
Yeah.
And constantly they say, well, I wish there was a better way to do things. And I say, well, I know this guy, let me call him. And so those are the things that I say that yes, but Kansas City is doing a decent job. But I think that for the next level is where we need to prepare ourselves. And so when you go in the office, I want to make sure that you look at the next level. And I always say, because I come from Honduras, one of the things that we lack so much in our Central American countries, but specifically in Honduras, is the education. The opportunity for somebody to learn how to do it better, right? The opportunity, maybe more workshops, maybe have something like a community center where people can go and take classes, how to be a better business person, how to do a business plan, how to do all these different, preparing themselves to be successful. And you know what happens when we are successful? We hire people, we pay more taxes.
Yeah. And we rise up the socioeconomic scale.
Absolutely.
We go from middle class to upper middle class, and then we pass that on to our children, and we build wealth, and that's the American dream.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, we are all moving in the same direction, which is strive for better and better.
Yeah.
And I like this conversation because I hope that you're paying attention out there. When you have a young, community person, we want to make sure we support them because they bring new ideas. So if we are tired of supporting the same old, let's stop that right now. Then you have an opportunity to support Crisp and Rea with brand new, fresh ideas. Is that about right? I want to make sure that you approve this message.
Yeah, I approve.
What is something else that we are missing in this conversation? You want to make sure that people knows about you.
I think one of the most important things is there are very serious decisions that we are going to be making at City Hall, and experience is important. We need folks with experience that understand the community, that have worked to address some of these issues, and have a track record that we can look to. And that is something that I bring to the table when I put my experience to work. And so I can't do it alone. I need folks to go to the website. Please make a financial contribution so that we can run the campaign that we need to. Please remember to vote on June 20th. And if there are any questions, I'm available to talk.
Is this something you planning on running where you would call it like an open door policy where people can reach out to you very easy and be able to say, hey, this is what I see happening. Will you help me? Is this something you're also planning on doing? Yeah,
I intend to be very, very available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes that's some of the things that happen, the public service, that you guys run, and then sometimes people are like, where did he go?
Mm-hmm.
And we never see him again.
Yeah. No, accessibility and availability is a big piece. But some of that also falls on the community to stay engaged and to go to the neighborhood association meetings and to go to the community meetings, because I can't go to everyone's home. We've got to find common space to meet and talk as well.
Yes, and that I completely agree. It's our job as a community to look for the resource, and then once we find it, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Yes, fantastic. So in the business side, you see the World Cup coming. You want to make sure the city's clean, the crime goes down, so people feel safe coming to Kansas City and not feel threatened that, what's going to happen if I'm out and about 11 o'clock at night having fun with my friends, right?
Yeah.
So that's something you want to make sure that happens.
Yeah. Whether you're in Europe or, we talked about somewhere in South America, people have preconceived notions about how dangerous American cities are. I hear this all the time when we've traveled from friends who live, overseas and across the world. People believe that American cities are very dangerous. And, we've got to make sure these folks who are coming here have a very different experience and that they feel safe. You know, they see our gun violence on TV. They think it's the Wild West. So we've got to work to make sure we're having folks come to a safe city and that they leave and can tell everyone else that it is a safe place to come and visit.
Specifically, Kansas City.
Kansas City.
It is a perfect place to go have fun with your family.
Yeah, at 11 p.m.
Yeah, 11 p.m.
Or later.
Because, you know, I have daughters, you know, and some of the things that bother me the most sometimes when they said, Dad, we're going to go to a concert. And, you know, concerts ends around midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing you worry about as a father is, gosh, you know, would they come home?
Yeah. What's going to happen in the parking lot?
Yeah.
You know, is there going to be an argument that happens and
Correct.
then escalates, you know?
And so those are definitely things that bother me now that my kids are able to drive, get out, and be their own. And so it's hard.
Yeah. We've got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is hard. But I have a full faith in that. I think that you've been doing this for a while. Since I remember you've been in this area specifically, you've been in that type of, you know, in that segment of making sure that things are going the right way. And so I think you're gonna be able to achieve your goals.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah. And then so June 20th, what I want to make sure that happens, you guys go to vote, right?
Yes.
All right. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a lot of talk about like what's going on in Florida. And now in the state of Kansas, there is a lot of fear among our community. And this fear is because it's been evolutioning from what's going on in Florida. I have personal friends that are scrambling around the country, moving out of Florida because they're scared of what's going on, right, with the new law that they are passing. Whether it's to be, I don't know exactly how they're going to execute this law, but they're saying that it's to protect Florida from criminals and narco trafficking and all that stuff, right? In Kansas, they're saying that it's to protect the human trafficking. But our community feels different. Do you know anything about this?
I haven't read either law. From our conversation, there's some concerns in the community about how this will be applied and maybe used to target folks who are associated, with folks who are undocumented, whether it's driving or doing business or living. I have not heard about anything similar in the Missouri side. They just wrapped up the legislative session. I want to say last week, I believe. And so as far as what's being passed in Missouri, session is over. And so I've not heard anything about it. At the city level, we are very limited in the amount of control we have over what the state legislature does. Of course, we can work with our local state reps to go and lobby and advocate and fight for folks. And when it comes to that, that's something that I'll absolutely do. We need to make sure that Kansas City is, when we talk about safe and clean, but also welcoming for everyone.
Yes.
For everyone. Everyone has a right to feel safe in our city and feel welcomed. And, I've worked in, our community with undocumented folks for years. Mm-hmm. And, I remember one middle school boy I was working with when I worked at the Mattie Road Center, had said he just wanted to go see a movie with his family, but they were scared to leave the block. And at the time, I remember Missouri was passing some legislation that had to do with immigration. It was some pretty, serious stuff. And that was just one story that I remember hearing a lot at that time. It's something so basic as wanting to go see a movie with your parents and not being able to do that, let alone the anxiety around work and employment and, just trying to stake a living. And so, we need to make sure Kansas City is a safe and clean place for everyone and that we're welcome.
Fantastic. So, you can feel safe out there. Pueden sentirse seguros, dice aquí nuestro amigo Crispin, que en Kansas City o en el estado de Missouri él no ha escuchado ninguna ley que sea similar a la que estamos escuchando en el estado de Florida y en el estado de Kansas. So, en el estado de Missouri estamos todavía a brazos abiertos recibiendo la gente y quiere venir a trabajar y hacer buena vida y crecer hijos y tener un futuro mejor. Entonces, es que no tenga miedo. En Kansas City o el estado de Missouri, estamos bien. Eso es lo que estoy escuchando. Y me imagino que si él se diera cuenta de algo así, inmediatamente lo comunicaría a nosotros. So once again, I reiterate in Spanish what you just said, because I feel that is a very important message coming from you. And because our community is worried, our community is scared, that what is going to happen. If this is something that is going to go all along to all the different states, because Kansas is definitely talking about something weird. It has to do, they are saying that the proposal is to go for the human trafficking, but our community is seeing it different. And I appreciate that you comment on it. And I know that you said in the state of Missouri, it's not happening. You haven't heard of anything. And so that makes us feel safe.
Yeah. Now, I'm not in the legislature, so I'm not the expert, to talk about what's coming up or what was debated down there. But, the session's over and I've not heard of anything being passed in Missouri at this point.
Fantastic. Well, that makes I personally feel better about this. Yeah. And all right, so we are coming to an end. What is one of the message that, because as you know, this program, I like to always make it where we talk about things like what we're talking today, but I also want to make sure that we leave a message inspiring somebody. Young, I don't know if I call you a political person or a community person. Yeah. But for somebody, an attorney like you, what is one of the things you want to leave behind to the people, the graduations, lots of graduations, a lot of decisions going on right now, where I'm going to go to college, what career I'm going to take, and all those things. I had one myself. My daughter just graduated from graduated from high school. And we had a lot going on, this conversation with grandma and uncles and mom and dad. We are talking about how can we guide this kid into the right direction to go to the right school. Yeah. What are some of the things you would say about this?
When I love graduations, whether it's high school or college, because it is such a hopeful and optimistic time for a lot of families. You've made it past this important threshold, this important rite of passage, and now you have these tools and this certification on paper in the form of a degree or diploma that says you've at least made it past that point. So for our community, that's those are important thresholds, because we have had the generations of folks who have not been able to reach that point. As basic as it sounds, I was first and only in my family to go to college. I was first to set foot on a college campus, and then I went on and got a master's and got a law degree. And so I guess I would take a different angle on this and share with those young folks that now that you've achieved this important threshold, you have an obligation. You now have a duty to all those who worked before you to put you in this position to maximize the opportunity to go forward and keep achieving and keep educating and keep succeeding. It's important to do for yourself, but you also now have to do this for the folks who have come before you and that are looking at you to succeed.
Fantastic. If anybody wants to go into the public service like you, what would you say?
It's not that difficult to pay attention to what's going on. Reading the news, volunteering, trying to get on a board or a commission, associated with the city, finding a campaign to volunteer on. I've certainly got a need for volunteers. And so
there you have it right here. We got
volunteer. Yeah. Finding folks who are doing that work and figuring out a way to get involved. You have to be proactive in doing it. But, for those who want to make the community better, want to make it safer, want to make it more welcoming, there are certainly opportunities to do so.
Fantastic. Well, that's good news. Well, then, we're running out of time, but I just want to thank you very much for taking the time, second time coming to visit us. You had a successful primary, and we are looking for the same thing again, successful general elections, and we are looking forward as a community to see you taking place as a city council and representing Kansas City, Jackson County. And it's not only for us, the Hispanic, but it's for everybody that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias, muchas gracias a ustedes por estar con nosotros este día y espero que hayan aprendido mucho, conocido mucho de Chris Penrea. Él es un abogado y por muchos años él ha trabajado aquí en la comunidad local de Kansas City, más que todo en el área del Northeast y todas estas áreas, combatiendo crimen y ayudando a las familias que necesitan ayuda en muchas formas. Así que usted tiene la responsabilidad ahora, si usted vive en Kansas City, Jackson County, y usted tiene la oportunidad de votar, usted tiene la responsabilidad de salir a votar y apoyar a uno de los nuestros. Eso es en junio 20, todo el día, a cualquier hora, para que lo haga y apoyemos a este muchacho, para que nos apoye de regreso a nosotros. Ya sabe, yo soy Carlos Vides con Mentes Innovadoras, aquí por Televida. Nos vemos pronto.